Imagine Kalamazoo in 2025. Imagine Kalamazoo 2025 builds on work that's already being done in the community. It's not based on the vision of only how the city looks, but also how it works. It's based on a realistic understanding of current resources. A flexible vision is necessary to respond to the changing needs, opportunities, and can evolve over time as it is implemented and conditions change. Imagine Kalamazoo 2025 will be the lighthouse to which Kalamazoo's strengths, assets, people, time, money, geography, talent, coordinated investment, and research move Kalamazoo forward collectively for the next 10 years. It will be a guide for 1. Broad goals and strategies. 2. Priorities for the future of the city's growth. 3. How to utilize land in the city, particularly underutilized land. 4. Maintain a high level of engagement to foster ultimate success. And 5. Answer questions. Where are we going and how do we get there? This is the voice of the marginalized people of Kalamazoo in response to the questions asked about Imagine Kalamazoo in 2025.
Perhaps a city that acknowledges everyone who's in it, or is open to anyone coming into it and the new ideas, because the world's always changing. A world-class city. Somewhere safe, for sure, and physically safe, socially safe. You can go outside and do what you want to do as long as you're not hurting anyone. It's a city that's, open to helping people as well. You said a great city, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great place to live.
Yeah, a city that's willing to help all of its citizens. A city where it's not hard to get the things that you need. It's not hard to do things that you want to do. Yeah. What I love most about Kalamazoo is that I can do whatever I want. I love that it's not that big of a city. So I could walk from here all the way to the west side without it taking like a 3-day journey. I like that, I could go to the library and then go to the mall and then go grocery shopping and then come home all in one day. I like that there's so many things to do here. I mean, a lot of people don't think so, but I like that, it's always something happening in Kalamazoo, whether you know it or not. I mean, I walked into the mall sometimes and there's a fashion show going on, or I go to the library and upstairs they're doing like a manga pop thing, and there's some author coming in talking about something. I like that I can just go downtown or go to a building and they're doing something for other people, or you can get involved in something. So what's difficult? I think what's difficult is that when you're trying to do something for other people, or you're trying to do something right, that a lot of people aren't with you on that. Like, people don't like change that much, and they don't like to be told what to do, and if you need, or sometimes when you need something, there's so many barriers for you to get to what you need. I don't feel like it's necessary for, I'm trying to make a call to talk to my fiance who's in prison, and it takes me I have to get transferred to 3 different people, or I'm all, there's just so much, so many things that stop you from getting to what you need. It's unnecessary though. It doesn't have to be that way. When I was younger, I would think I was 11 years old, and the only jobs they had for people, for young people, was in the corn, going and picking corn in the summer. But other than that, you couldn't do anything. Or if I needed to go to go get a checkup or something like that, you have to have, you have to have this, you have to have that. Or when you go into, it's so many things that you need to have connections with. And what if you don't have that? What if I don't have my birth certificate? What if I don't have my ID? What if I don't have that connection? What if I don't have transportation? A lot of times in my life, I would be signed up in cheerleading. I'll be signed up for we're going to a competition or something like that. Well, the competition's in Galesburg. Well, I'm supposed to get to Galesburg, you know, like the buses don't run all the way out there. I don't have the money to pay for a bus, you know. I don't drive. I'm only a teenager. You know, there's a lot of I remember there's a lot of unnecessary barriers in Kalamazoo.
Kept.
Of course, the Kalamazoo Promise. I mean, that's the first thing that pops into my head. But I think the thing that can make it better is expanding it, for sure. Because right now I go to Empire Beauty School, and I received the Promise, I get 95% of it. But it doesn't go, it only goes to the colleges and the private, now the private colleges too, that are on this list. It does not do trade schools, you know, and it's only for people who live in Kalamazoo or who go to Kalamazoo public schools. I'm a part of the Kalamazoo County Youth Cabinet, and one of my members, one of my members, she lived right next to a house that the children in there received the Promise, and she lived right next door to them, and she didn't, you know. So like the border, like of you're in and you're out, it's way too definite, you know. Like, I mean, we grew up with her and she doesn't get it, you know. So just like expand it to a way, just making it more broader. I mean, we get 10 years to do it, and that's great, but it's only for certain colleges. There's so many more things that you could do with your life. You could go to a trade school. You could do this. Like there's a lot of more educational like things that you can go to other than colleges. And I think that if the Promise holder were, you know, if they would acknowledge that and maybe allow that, a lot of kids, a lot of more people who receive the Promise would use it, because you get 10 years, but you know 10 years have gone and a lot of kids haven't been using it. So maybe that would help with getting the people to use this blessing that they have, for sure. I don't know what partnership this would be involved in, but there is a problem with like the prison system, for sure. Like with how it's set up, it makes the people who are in prison to depend on the people that are outside of prison. And it's so expensive just to make a call. I mean, a 15-minute call costs $3, and 15 minutes go by like that, and that money runs up. I mean, as of right now, I spend about $25 to put on my account to talk to my fiance, and that goes by. We can blow through that in like 4 days, but we have to, you know, we know how to space it out. And even like going to visit him and stuff, like it's just like the system isn't right. I mean, he tells me a lot of bad things that goes on in there too, you know. So I just feel like we should be more educated about who is running the system and why are the things that are in place, why are they doing that, and just realizing that these people that are incarcerated, they are people, and we can't just forget about these people because they're still Americans. I mean, we all make mistakes. There's plenty of people in the world now that aren't in prison that probably do deserve to be in prison. Shoot, I probably deserve to be in prison if somebody were to evaluate my life. So I just feel like we should be more connected with who we are putting in bars for years, you know. So I think that could be a change or a connection. I don't know who we would get connected with that with, but that's something that I personally want to see a change to, or I will get involved in if I know the people.
Because when you're
imagining Kalamazoo, well, I'm thinking off bat I would say the youth, for sure, but not just the youth. I think our elderly people as well. Like a combination of those two. I think that would be good. Because I personally like to sit down and talk to our elders and just to hear about their stories and things. Because I feel like, the history repeats itself. My husband tells me this all the time. My fiance, he always tells me history repeats himself. So how can we stop the repetition that's bad happening, you know, like we can talk to these people, we can get into contact, bring two generations together, and, you know, better our future. I think that's something, those are the voices we need to hear. Not saying the middle aged people, you guys don't count, because of course you do, but I think that those two forces, they will make a pretty big change.
And I think you're on the spectrum.
For sure. We're complete opposites. I mean, the youth were born elderly, they're getting ready to go on to another life. They've been here. So that's like a perfect opposite to attract. That's like a perfect match to help ourselves for our future. Well, you don't always have to go to like a home or something like that, but maybe not ignoring them so much. They come in and they're like loud and blasting music, and not getting upset when a person with a wheelchair has to get rolled up on the bus and it takes 5 minutes for them to get strapped in and stuff. I mean, if we all just make like an effort to respect each other more, and that goes into with people with disabilities as well. I see the discomfort that people get a lot, like when they see someone, or like just the other day, I remember this woman, she had a speaking impediment or something like that, but she knew what she was talking about, and she was saying something over and over to this lady who was sitting in front of me, and she was just looking out the window. Finally, another lady, like, she translated, she said, "What school do you work at?" I mean, she couldn't understand it, and then she was like, "Oh, I work here and here." But the whole time, the lady who was talking to her, she was leaning forward, like, you can tell, like, when I'm talking to you, like, I'm trying to speak to you. You can know who you're being talked to, and she felt awkward, and she was just like, you know, I don't want to, what is she saying? Like, don't feel so, it's a person. Again, like, they are different. You may be old, you may be young, you may be loud or too quiet, but if someone's trying to communicate with you, you shouldn't try to ignore them or don't think of them as any less than you, you know? Like, or saying excuse me. I remember I think it was on Halloween. I was walking with some friends or whatnot, and they were rushing past these people. But when I walked by, I was like, "Excuse me." And she was like, "Well, it's been a long time since someone like says that." She was like, "Thank you, that's very respectful." She was like, "I didn't even know that you guys even actually said that anymore," you know. So, you know, just not being so much, well, those youngins, or, you know, they think they know everything or something like that, you know. But we're all people. Yeah, you don't have to get involved in something, you know. Like, if you just easily saying good morning to somebody or hello, you know, just simple things. And then the people who have that passion to do more and stuff like that, then they can get into that. But you should make an effort to acknowledge everyone. I think that, yeah. I hope that answered the question. Okay, you should make an effort to acknowledge everyone. For sure. Everyone should know that you are important, and that what you feel is important to other people to know too. So don't feel like, when it comes to, like, I don't know, with the voting and the elections and stuff like that, like, know that you have to do something. You have to. You're here and you have to do something. But don't feel like it's cool, it's nonchalant, whatever's convenient, you know. Like, you have to make an effort to do something. You can't just be upset about a situation and you don't do anything about it, you know. So know that your voice is important, and your voice is your vote. Like, right now we're in a serious situation right now where we could be in trouble in a couple years if we don't do anything, and if we just sit back and say, they always have the best interest in mind for us. They would never do anything. He's our leader. This is the person who will be in charge of our country, you know. Nothing would ever go bad if we have that mentality that the people who are in charge always have our best interests in mind. That's a lie, for sure. We see it happen all the time. It's undercover. People are getting killed. People are being discriminated. You know, like, it's under the rug. And if we can stop it, if there's anything that you can do, you should do it, because you're important. And one more person standing up is, helping to make sure that another person doesn't stand up and do something wrong to somebody else. So, well, maybe going to like meetings that we have. I know, like, I keep referencing the bus, but that's something I ride the bus a lot. Like, they have like meetings there, or being involved in your kids' education by going to student teacher conferences, or what are you doing to make the city for the people? Like what things are what things or organizations that you have in that are allowing anybody to come in and share their voice, because of course you have those main people who go to every meeting that you have, or every little thing that you have on the side that isn't really advertised a lot for everyone to come. You have your main comers, but what are you doing to get the people who don't really know about anything? How are you educating them about something and not doing it in an offensive way, or making it as accessible to anybody as possible? So let's say that you do have a meeting that you want to discuss the water system in Kalamazoo, but it's all the way on the west side in like this huge building that it takes at least 30 minutes to drive when you're, I don't know, on the north side. Like, what are the little things that you can do to help? Because I'm not saying that you can change everything in one moment, but there are things that you can do that make everything a little bit more helpful for other people. So thinking about how this can be, what you're doing, or what organization you're holding, or that come in and they're like loud and blasting music, and not getting upset when a person with a wheelchair has to get rolled up on the bus and it takes 5 minutes for them to get strapped in and stuff. I mean, if we all just make like an effort to respect each other more. And that goes into with people with disabilities as well. I see the discomfort that people get a lot, like when they see someone, or like just the other day, I remember this woman, she had a speaking impediment or something like that, but she knew what she was talking about. And she was saying something over and over to this lady who was sitting in front of me, and she was just looking out the window. Finally, another lady, like, she translated, she said, "What school do you work at?" I mean, she couldn't understand it, and then she was like, "Oh, I work here and here." But the whole time, the lady who was talking to her, she was leaning forward, like, you can tell, like, when I'm talking to you, like, I'm trying to speak to you. You can know who you're being talked to. And she felt awkward, and she was just like, I don't want to, what is she saying? Like, don't feel so, it's a person. Again, like, they are different. You may be old, you may be young, you may be loud or too quiet, but if someone's trying to communicate with you, you shouldn't try to ignore them or don't think of them as any less than you, Like, or saying excuse me. I remember I think it was on Halloween. I was walking with some friends and whatnot, and they were rushing past these people. But when I walked by, I was like, "Excuse me." And she was like, "Well, it's been a long time since someone like says that." She was like, "Thank you, that's very respectful." She was like, "I didn't even know that you guys even actually said that anymore." So, just not being so much, well, those youngins, or they think they know everything or something like that, but we're all people. Yeah, you don't have to get involved in something, like if you just easily saying good morning to somebody or hello, just simple things. And then the people who have that passion to do more and stuff like that, then they can get into that. But you should make an effort to acknowledge everyone.
25.
Okay. Well, I think that everyone should know that you are important, and that what you feel is important to other people to know too. So don't feel like, when it comes to, like, I don't know, with the voting and the elections and stuff like that, like, know that you have to do something. You have to. You're here and you have to do something. But don't feel like it's cool, it's nonchalant, whatever's convenient, like, you have to make an effort to do something. You can't just be upset about a situation and you don't do anything about it, So know that your voice is important, and your voice is your vote. Like, right now, we're in a serious situation right now where we could be in trouble in a couple years if we don't do anything, and if we just sit back and say they always have the best interest in mind for us. They would never do anything. He's our leader. This is the person who will be in charge of our country. You know, nothing would ever go bad if we had that mentality that the people who are in charge always have our best interests in mind. That's a lie, for sure. I mean, we see it happen all the time. It's undercover. People are getting killed. People are being discriminated. You know, like it's under the rug. And if we can stop it, if there's anything that you can do, you should do it, because you're important. And one more person standing up is, you know, helping to make sure that another person doesn't stand up and do something wrong to somebody else. So
let's bring that to Kalamazoo, the city of Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
Let's bring that observation that you have about the need to connect and be involved. How does that play itself out here in Kalamazoo? What would you say to the people in Kalamazoo about issues that are important here in Kalamazoo that involve, you know, the city and the how do I say, the decision makers?
Well, maybe going to like meetings that we have. I know, like, I keep referencing the bus, but that's something I ride the bus a lot. Like, they have like meetings there, or being involved in your kids' education by going to student teacher conferences. Or
what would you say to the commissioners and the mayor and the people that are planning the city? What do you want to make sure that they hear you say about their thoughts about what the city could look like in 2025?
What are you doing to make the city for the people? You know, like what things or organizations that you have and that are allowing anybody to come in and share their voice, you know? Because of course you have those main people who go to every meeting that you have, or every little thing that you have on the side that isn't really advertised a lot for everyone to come. You have your main comers, but what are you doing to get, you know, the people who don't really know about anything? How are you educating them about something and not doing it in an offensive way, or making it as accessible to anybody as possible? So let's say that you do have a meeting that you want to discuss the water system in Kalamazoo, but it's all the way on the west side in like this huge building that it takes at least 30 minutes to drive when you're, you know, I don't know, on the north side. You know, like what are the little things that you can do to help? Because I'm not saying that you can change everything in one moment, but there are things that you can do that make everything a little bit more helpful for other people, you know?
This is Jason Sutherland, and I'm doing an interview for the city.
Okay.
A world-class city would mean it would have the amenities of, like, I don't know, like a Paris or like a New York or a San Francisco. That's what I would consider a world-class city. Something that's got, you know, I don't know, it's been around for a long time and it's got a lot of history. It would have to be a city that, you know, that has a college in it, so it draws like college type people, middle class people. It'd have to have a nice downtown area with lots of restaurants and things to do for the kids. I like this area right here. It's got a mixture of different race people and different class of people.
Okay.
I would say the jobs took a big dive, like in the 90s, the late 90s. I would say they need to keep on developing like on the north side and the south side, a lot of the abandoned houses. We need to keep on tearing them down and redeveloping them, or moving people in, selling them for cheap, like they sell them for $1 if the people come in and rebuild the house, which makes the city look like
city.
I would say because it's not really a vacation destination. It's not a place where somebody would go on the map and say, hey, I'm going to Kalamazoo instead of like Chicago or something like that. I would say a big music theater. Wing Stadium is real restricted. It's old and because of the sounding, the old sounding there. A a lot of newer acts don't like to go there no more.
Fully utilized.
I would go back to say again, the Wing Stadium and the State Theater. Those are a couple things that could be used a lot better. I would say just because this used to be an industrial city, and plus it's a college city also, and the industrial part kind of fell apart. It was known for making paper and hospital equipment like Stryker, and that part kind of seized down. And now you just got a lot of them people left, and now you just got a bunch of people that are college students which don't live here year round, so they don't bring money in here year round. They're here for half the year and then they leave. And we don't have the industrial part going again, so that kind of takes the economy out of the city, I think. We don't have enough year-round people to support the town.
That makes sense. Can you?
I think they have to have like celebrity, or people that that live in this town that actually have some say so, and I don't know, celebrity status. I would say Rick Snyder. Maybe some local music acts that are from Michigan, like Bob Seger, Ted Nugent. You know Ted Nugent's an asshole. I think the people that are lifelong residents of Kalamazoo. I think we should have commercials and events, like they have Arcadia, they have a rib fest. I think they should have a fest with that topic, which would draw people in. They'd have some live music, they need to have booths set up where people can talk, and put down their name, and just do interviews and stuff with them.
I like that.
Yep. Yeah. I really recommend keeping in on the houses, rebuilding the abandoned houses and the old buildings. There's a lot of abandoned city buildings in Kalamazoo that are just sitting here, which can be used for anywhere from shelters to these places to big shelters, daytime shelters. Kalamazoo does need more daytime shelters because I had to see a lot of people sitting around and stuff like that. And I just think the abandoned city buildings in Kalamazoo could be utilized a lot better. So just sitting there, taking up space. I'm originally from Paw Paw, which is about 20 miles from here, and I just like Kalamazoo because you got the kind of university vibe here, and it's a lot of alternative artists and musicians and stuff like that. The only thing that really keeps a person from staying here and thriving is the jobs. It ain't what it used to be here.
Absolutely.
No, just it seems like that things are starting to come around a little better. It was about 5 years ago. We need to keep on it. And I know another good deal would be here, because I know a lot of people. I've been looking for that. I've been talking around people. Is day labor. It's just that's first. Some people, that's the first step, especially if they come out of jail or something like that. That's the first step for them to start working and start making a reference for them as they start off as a day laborer, and then they can go from there. And I know it's a lot of cities got more than one, and Kalamazoo only seems to have one, and it's kind of filtering down. So I think they should have another new one open up.
That's important.
I was also thinking a networking piece where you almost found the leaders in certain areas or communities, maybe not political, but church groups, certain church groups, or if we took it to a community base where they knew what was going on and they were able to pass it to us almost secondhand, even on a church basis, church leaders know things that are going on, and then they pass it to their congregation, just little things like that. Maybe not the broad spectrum of the community, but pick certain areas and certain leaders to help pass the information.
As I say, imagine you're in front of influencers, game changers, gatekeepers. What would you want them to know about how you see Kalamazoo now and in the future?
I just cry out for the youth. I just cry out for the youth so loudly that someone or us all needs to focus on them and their needs and accommodate, and not just hear them, but accommodate for them. And the city's doing great things for itself and for everyone around it, but don't forget the youth, the future of this city, and what they need in preparation to be ready to take that and run with it.
What could the city do to maybe contribute to solving filling in those gaps? And what are the gaps?
Okay, I got it. Okay, so right now I feel like the after school programs and the programs for the youth are almost like childcare, where the volunteers or the people who are there are just there because they're being paid. I feel like the community could have those volunteers or those leaders to come and teach or to present or to show things to the youth about organization, about discipline, about morals, about truly important things that they need in their young adult lives. Something more valuable, something that they can take with them home and share with their parents, something they may not have learned in school. Just something deeper for their minds, something not just to occupy their time.
My name is Richard Locke. I'm originally from Muskegon Heights, Michigan, but I've lived in Kalamazoo since 1966. I consider myself a loyal and dedicated citizen of this community, which I have loved and I've lived in and I've worked in since '68 for sure. Prior to that, I worked in the youth programs in the schools, going around helping them making the children feel comfortable. That was one of my projects that I did when I was in college. When I graduated, I stayed here, and I am in fact in love with Kalamazoo. It is my home. I've lived here longer than I have anywhere else.
City mean to you?
A world-class city is a city that caters to all of its inhabitants, the minorities, the majority, even those who are even transient. A world-class city has the ability to give more than it takes. It can enrich a person's life. It can create a person's life, make it better, and give them hope. So if they need to, they can go on to a bigger city or a bigger world or a bigger universe to spread the love, the joy, and the intellect that they picked up in that environment. The people. The people are the core of what makes a city a friendly, warm, and enthusiastic place to stay in. Citizens who care, who want to share what they have with the world to make this a better place.
Kalamazoo.
I like the parks. I like the citizens. And again, I like the people. One of my first professional jobs, it was working for juvenile court, working with juvenile delinquents in a juvenile home. It was one of the warmest, most exciting experiences of my life. And to this day, some 30, 40 years later, those children now have children, and they all speak to me with respect and with kindness and with liking. I appreciate that warmth that I feel for them. It makes me possible to give that same warmth and liking to others. Kalamazoo? That's a hard question, because Kalamazoo is not difficult to live in. You have so many opportunities and advantages in Kalamazoo. All one has to do is apply themselves and embrace the opportunities that are given to you here. I don't see Kalamazoo as a hard place to live.
Class city.
If we could find a way to make all people here realize that we are one society. When I was a kid, they talked about the quilt, the patchwork quilt. We're more than that. We are the fibers that make that quilt. We are the width and weft of a web that makes a blanket, a quilt, a piece of material strong and durable. If we band together and work together, we cannot be torn or broken. We will always spring back and go forward.
Class.
Generally speaking, it's the barriers that those who are not open-minded enough to understand or see. The barriers in Kalamazoo, I don't know, I have a very optimistic viewpoint of Kalamazoo. I don't see barriers here. I don't see obstacles. You know, it's a cliche, but I see opportunity. I see motivation. I see enthusiasm. I see a community that wants to work together to make it, in fact, world class.
Yeah.
Missing in Kalamazoo? A zoo. We could do with a world-class zoo. I know they have one in Battle Creek, but until we annex them, you know, a zoo. That's part of our day. It's just a wonderful place to live.
Get a world-class city.
The universities and the educational institutions that are in Kalamazoo. The youth of Kalamazoo do not take full advantage of the advantage that is given to them. There are things going on at K College, at Western Michigan University, at Kalamazoo Valley Community College. They can even go over to Battle Creek to Kellogg Community College or Miller College and gain some of the learning and the expertise that is there. So much is here in Kalamazoo to make a person rise above the mean. The children just have to be taught that it's accessible for them and that they can have it if they want it. All you have to do is work for it. The promise is a wonderful thing. But first you have to get the children to commit to wanting the promise and utilizing it to the best of their ability. Show yourself capable and qualified to accept and use all the materials and tools that are given to you, because Kalamazoo gives you tools.
The city.
What exists now, there's a plethora of organizations that are all willing to collaborate. All you need to do is ask them. You have the churches, you have the university, you have the Kalamazoo Foundation, we had ARCUS. There's all kinds of organizations and institutions in Kalamazoo that are willing to do everything that they can to make this a better place to live in. We just have to collaborate, open our mouths, open our hearts, and open our minds so that we can use each other for the betterment of the community.
In Kalamazoo.
Voices that need to be heard. The children need to be heard. Not just listened to, but actually heard. We need to understand what they're saying and to create a dialogue with our youth so they will understand what we are saying to them. And not only the dialogue, there must be understanding. And they must be taught to be patient and excited and aggressive towards their goals. And their goals are to achieve and to succeed. That is what we need to teach them.
Voices.
Listen to those people who are willing to be mentors. Listen to your mother and father. If your mother and father are absent or you're without, find a mentor of your own. Go out. Youth have the ability to understand and know. They know when someone cares. They know when somebody wants them to succeed. Find that person, listen to them, follow them, emulate their activities and what they do. And don't stop competing in the world arena. Compete always so you can have something to climb for and to reach for and to succeed at. It's one thing to know that goals and aspirations are there, but after you get them, you have to compete in a bigger pool, in a bigger lake. That's what's expected of you, and that's how you reach the top. You can't limit yourself.
Access. You get to those voices.
You sit down with them. You go to where they're at. You go to their environment. You sit down with them and be non-threatening. And actually listen. Don't listen with preconceived ideas. Don't listen with preconceived attitudes or approaches. Listen. We have got to take the fear quotient out of approaching or accessing aid or support. The best places to have these meetings, any place where there's a large congregation or even a medium-sized congregation. Like the Lord says, if 2 or more are gathered, I am there. That is an outreach person's job. If 2 or more are there, I am there to do all I can and to say all I can to get them where they need to be.
About improvements in the city.
I'm still on a learning curve. I've been here, like I said, since '66 off and on. I'm still learning. I will learn from people around me. I will learn from people I meet. When I learn from them, I will apply that learning. And that's what I need to do in Kalamazoo. The city needs to know that it needs to apply itself and listen. To not just, and listen and do. Don't just say with your mouth. Actually actualize with your ears, with your hearts, with your hands. Get out there and do some of the things that will make these people feel comfortable accessing the opportunities that are available here. Everybody knows that there's opportunities here, but people are afraid to apply.
Mi nombre es Irene.
Si en unas palabras nos puedes decir cómo llegaste a Kalamazoo. ¿Qué te trajo aquí?
Mi esposo.
Okay.
¿Qué te significa para ti una ciudad del mundo?
Una ciudad puede ser. ¿Qué es?
¿Qué hace que una ciudad sea un lugar bueno para vivir? Lo haría un lugar bueno para vivir. ¿Qué te gustaría?
Pues la tranquilidad.
No, mira la cámara.
Mírame. Sí, ¿verdad? Para mí sería como. Sí, puede ser como tranquilidad. Como. Porque me gusta Kalamazoo porque no es una ciudad grande.
She likes Kalamazoo because it's not that big.
Es muy diferente a estar como Chicago, por ejemplo, el tráfico.
It's very different to Chicago, for example. Lots of traffic.
Me gusta porque es tranquilo.
She likes it because it's.
¿Qué es lo difícil? Ay, Dios. Sorry.
Okay.
No encuentro un lado negativo.
Okay.
She doesn't find a negative.
United
¿Qué
States.
barreras tiene Kalamazoo para que lo detiene de ser la mejor ciudad?
No.
Para mí es una ciudad muy bonita.
For me, it's a
No,
very
no he tenido
beautiful
ninguna mala experiencia.
city. She hasn't had a bad experience here in Kalamazoo.
No puedo encontrar algo o como para mejorar. Pues no, para mí es perfecto.
¿Qué otras voces necesita la ciudad escuchar para que esta ciudad sea escuchada y sea la mejor?
Bueno, en este caso tenemos mucha gente que necesita orientación para sus hijos.
In this case, we need people. A lot of our people need orientation with how to help their kids.
Necesitamos programas para nuestros niños.
We need programs for our children.
para mantenerlos activos y que no tengan ningún costo.
To maintain them active and to be free of cost. Okay, so imagínate que ella trabaja para la ciudad y que no hay barreras, no hay límites a lo que ellos puedan hacer, ¿ok? So, ¿tú qué le dirías que hiciera para que fuera Kalamazoo la mejor ciudad en todo el mundo para vivir? ¿Qué cosas te gustarían ver? No hay límites.
Necesita café.
She was just telling us in the front office that she needed coffee.
No.
Para mí sería algo positivo
For me,
aquí
it
en
would be
Kalamazoo.
positive to have here in Kalamazoo.
Hacer conciencia a los papás
To make parents conscious
de trabajar con sus
of
hijos.
working with their children.
Por ejemplo, hay lugares donde podemos ir a sembrar.
Like there's places here where we can go and plant.
Hay lugares donde necesitan levantar la basura.
There are places where we could go and pick up the garbage.
Pero no olvidemos que lo queremos hacer mamá y papá, que haya unión.
But let's not forget that we want to do it with mom and dad to be a unified like family.
Para mí es importante, muy importante mantener la familia junta.
For me, it's very important to keep the family together.
Y hacer cosas con nuestros niños.
And to do things with our children.
Si a mí la ciudad me dicen, hay este programa, necesito 20 familias completas.
If the city were to come to her and ask her, we have this program and we need 20 families, the whole family, then she would do it.
Para mí es fácil tener todas esas familias.
For me, it's very easy to have all those families.
Porque conozco las personas que necesitan, a lo mejor a veces para distraerse.
Because I know the families who could use that, maybe just as a distraction.
Tal vez por terapia.
Maybe for therapy.
Tal vez por depresión.
Maybe because they're depressed.
No sé, programas, necesitamos muchos programas.
We just need programs. Lots of programs.
That's muy importante. I appreciate it.
Que no te haya preguntado qué quieras decir para que la ciudad sea una mejor ciudad.
Anything.
Cualquier cosa.
I've asked persons that are felons. I've talked to youth. I've talked to people that are homeless. I'm talking to people that are of a status of immigration. I've got, what else, another one? I can't remember the other one, disability. So I'm trying to get a broad view from many different types of voices.
So he entrevistado a mucha diferente gente que tiene felonías, gente que tiene disabilidades, jóvenes, todo tipo para que puedan ver la ciudad, diferentes cosas, cómo ayudar a todos, ¿ok? So cualquier otra cosa que tú
Agregar, ¿verdad?
agregar por último, ¿qué quieres decir?
Me encantaría
I would love
que aquí en Kalamazoo
that here in Kalamazoo
hubiera hermandad.
there would be brotherhood.
Que no distinguiéramos raza,
For us not to distinguish
Cultura.
race, culture.
que pensáramos para
Yes.
o que no hubiera
Go.
distinción,
For there to not to be a
Cultura.
distinction of culture.
¿qué otro dije?
Raza.
Sí,
Race.
race. Todos opinamos o queremos pensar para bien.
For us to, we all want to suggest for good things.
Pienso que todos queremos una mejor ciudad,
We all want a better city.
que todos pensamos en nosotros,
We all
en cómo
think of-
ayudar
We all think about ourselves and how we can help.
y necesitamos
And we need
que estemos todos en un mismo camino, en
for all
una
of us to
misma-
be in one same path.
necesitamos amor.
We need love.
Correcto.